Why do most beginner game developers struggle with their first big project? It is not a lack of creativity, it is not a lack of coding skill. It is a misunderstanding of scope and complexity. In this video, I will explain this clearly in 10 structured steps. And once you understand how these steps connect, your approach to learning game development will completely change. Let's begin. Most beginner game developers start with an ambitious idea. They plan a large product with multiple features, advanced mechanics, detailed environments, and complex systems. On paper, the idea looks impressive. It feels like a serious project. But ambition alone is not the problem. The real issue begins when scope expands beyond current skill level. To understand why this becomes dangerous, we first need to understand how games are actually built. Game development is a combination of interconnected systems. Even a simple game includes input handling, movement logic, collision detection, UI elements, audio engagement, and performance optimization. When scope increases, complexity increases with it. Every new feature interacts with existing systems. Adding animations affects state management. Adding an inventory system affects UI. Adding enemies affects performance. One change can influence multiple areas. Now the question becomes, how does a beginner manage this complexity? This is where comparison becomes important. Instead of increasing complexity, a small game reduces it intentionally. A small game focuses on one core mechanic and limits supporting systems. But the scope is narrow. You can clearly see how each part works and how each script connects to the overall structure. That visibility creates clarity, and clarity leads to something very important. When a project is small and controlled, it becomes finishable. And finishing a project changes your development experience completely. You move through the entire cycle: planning, implementation, testing, debugging, polishing, deployment. This full cycle exposure builds real understanding. But completion is not the only advantage. It also improves how you solve problems. In a limited project, debugging is structured. The number of scripts is manageable. The flow of logic can be traced step by step. You are not guessing, you are analyzing. In a large unfinished project, debugging often becomes chaotic. The code base expands faster than understanding. As complexity increases, clarity decreases. This directly affects motivation and confidence, which brings us to the next important point. Finishing a project creates measurable progress. When progress is visible, learning feels structured. Without completion, efforts feel endless. But small projects offer something beyond psychological clarity. They also create space for refinement. Why the core system works and the project is management. You can focus on improvement, UI refinement, animation polish, sound feedback, performance optimization. This is where development shifts from functional to professional. In large projects, refinement is often postponed because unfinished systems demand attention. Professionals avoid this trap using a very specific strategy. Studios rarely begin with the full-scale production. They build prototypes first. A prototype isolates one mechanic. It tests feasibility, it tests engagement, it validates design decisions. Only after validation do they expand scope. This approach is based on the fundamental principle. Complexity must grow with skill level. If complexity increases faster than capability, frustration follows. If capability grows first, complexity becomes manageable. Building multiple small games allow your technical understanding to mature gradually. Code organization improves, system architecture becomes clear, design thinking becomes structured. At that stage, larger projects becomes realistic, which leads to the final perspective. Large games are not wrong, they simply require preparation. Starting small is not limiting potential, it is building capacity. Progress in game development is not measured by the size of your first idea. It is measured by how many complete systems you have built and understood. Master small projects first, then expand with structure and confidence. That is the professional part to long-term growth in game development. And if you found this video useful, just like and subscribe. And stay tuned for more updates.